Welcome to Earth Engine tutorial episode 34. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to extract pixel values from Earth Engine image interactively and save the pixel values as a CSV or a shapefile. I will also show you how to perform interactive region reduction. In other words, you can draw a rectangle or a circle on the image, and you can calculate descriptive statistics, for example, mean and maximum, minimum, or some standard deviation, something like that, interactively. And you can also save the results as a CSV or a shapefile. Let's get started. So first of all, you need to install the package, and then once you install the package, you can go to the examples folder, downloads, examples notebooks. You'll be notebook 34. So if you click this one, and then you can click the raw button, you can git clone the entire repo, or if you just want this one, you can do it this example, the downloads folder, and then just hit save. So it's under my downloads folder, and now I can just activate the contact environment. And you need to get into the downloads folder. Okay, and once you get into, you can type Jupyter Notebook to launch a notebook on your browser. Okay, and I'm going to maximize the browser, click the notebook, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. So basically, this tutorial has two sections. The first one is how to do interactive extraction of pixel values. The second one is how to do interactive region reduction. So let's deal with the first one first. First of all, you need to import the libraries, and then we can create an interactive map. Once we have the map, we can add some data. So in this example, I'm going to use lane set data. So this is a 5-year average, and we are going to use 6 spectral bands, and this is how I'm going to visualize using the force color composite, and then we add the data. Also keep that in mind, there's one line here to set the plot options at marker cluster. I'm going to show you shortly what does this one mean. Okay, so once we add data to the map, we can do interactive plotting. So all we need to do is to check this plotting, and then from here, if you have multiple layers, you can select the layers from the drop down list here. Since we only added one layer, so it will be just this one. Once you activate the plotting, then you can just click your mouse on anywhere. For example, I can click here, right? And then you will have the interactive spectral signature in here. 6 spectral bands, right? B1, B2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. You can click anywhere, it's going to change. So for example, this the pixel value we click most likely is bare land, or if it is vegetation, you will see high values in the near infrared spectral band. If I click pixel near water, it's going to decrease. So this provides you a quick way to visualize the data. Okay, if I zoom in, you can continue to zoom in. Okay, so click anywhere, right? And as you zoom in, this is what so-called marker cluster. If you zoom out, it's going to cluster. Okay, add more points if I want. Once I have these points, then we can export these values. So we have clicked a bunch of points in here. So next, let's see how we can export the data. Actually, it's very simple. If you can see from here, first we need to set the output file location. You can either export as a CSV, or you can export as a shapefile. If you export as a shapefile, it will automatically export the CSV. So it's up to you. In this example here, I'm going to export as a shapefile. So you set the file path, the directory, and this is going to be the name of the file. under the downloads folder, we are going to generate a file called points.shp. And once we have set the file name, you just need to call the function extract values to points. And there's only one parameter you need to pass into. So if you hit Shift Tab on your keyboard, we bring up this one. And the file name basically is the output file passed to the CSV or the shapefile. So once we have this, we just need to execute. And let's open this one. So now you will see the files have been saved to your downloads folder, and you can open the CSV if you want it. Okay, so the file will contain the pixel values and also the location. So if you click a point, it's going to save the longitude and latitude, and you also create an ID column automatically. So you, for example, you have 10 points in here. If you come back to this one, you can see how many points we have, right? So 9 points and another one here, 10 points. So any points you add to the map in here, it's automatically going to save as a variable associated with the map. So if I click one more point, right? I add 3 more points. So now we have 10, another 3, so we have 13. You can execute this line again. It should export the data again. So now if you open this one, I might need to close this one first. So now you see you have 13 points. Similarly, you can also open the swap file. So I'm going to use QGIS, and just to open the QGIS, and we can take a look at the swap file and also the attribute table. Once we open QGIS, let me add some base map. Okay, let me add for example, the Google Maps. Right. Once we have the map, then we can go to the downloads folder, and we can drag and drop the points, the map. So as you can see, these are the points that we collected, and we can open the attribute table. Similarly, you can see we have 13 points. Although this is like not rank correctly, but these are all the points, right? Longitude, latitude, and they have the pixel values. Okay, so very easy and straightforward. You can click as many points as you want. So this might be a good way that sometimes if you want to extract pixel values, so for example, you might have a land cover data, you want to create some training data, you can use this way to click, and then extract the pixel values. Once you have the location, then you can use that one to do the supervised classification. So just one way that you can do this. Okay, so this is for how to extract the pixel values interactively. And so the next example, I'm going to show you how to do interactive region reduction. And I'm going to show you what does this mean. First, let's import the libraries and create the interactive map. So in this example, I'm going to use MODIS NDVI data. So if you see from this one here, this quickly goes through the source code. And this is from the MODIS image collection. And I'm going to just use the data from 2015 to 2019. And I only select the NDVI band. Pay attention in here, this is very important. So this is an image collection. So in order to interactive plotting, because this one only applies to image, and make sure that you convert the image collection to image. You just need to call this function collection to bands, and then it will convert this one to an image with the spectral bands of depends on how many image bands you have in here. And once you have this one, you can set the this is for the palette, so from for NDVI specifically, and you can add the image to the map. So the first line here, add the entire image with many spectral bands to the map, and but the color might not be very useful. So this will be the first layer, and as you can see from here, we have a bunch of layers in here. So you cannot apply a palette to a multi-band image. You can only apply the palette, for example, NDVI to one image, and that's why I add another one here. The image, I only select the first band, and then I can do visualization. So this is what the second layer. Okay, so just to show you what the data looks like for each band individually. But if you you can certainly combine them all together if you want. And so once we have this, we can do set the reducer. So keep it in mind, if you I can just show you here, right? Interactive plotting, we activate the plotting, and we're going to use this one, not this one. Okay, so the second one is just one band, is not very useful. We want the time series, so make sure you click this one, and then just place your cursor anywhere, click your mouse, and you will see here it's going to show you the data, and this is the NDVI. As you can see, it reflects the vegetation growth. So there's a cycle in here because we have 5 years data. This is what we expect, right? 5 cycles. You can click somewhere else. You can take look. Depends on the location. So the trend will look different. Okay, depends on where you click. And this shows you a quick way to get time series data. As you can see from the plot in here, this one you can customize. It's using the BQ plot package, something that's using some similar syntax with matplotlib. One way that we might want to do it, because there are too many points, so the points we might not want this one because it's too crowded. So what we can do here is to set the plot options. Add marker cluster. As earlier you can see, when I click, okay, you don't create a marker. So the add marker cluster, if you add to 2, you will add a marker anywhere. This marker is different from the first one. This marker is related to the plot in here, and the point is called marker. So if you set to none, it won't show the marker. So let's execute this line, and then we can try again. We click now, you will see this marker cluster, and those markers on the train line, it's no longer there. So much easier to see now without the points. Okay. You can click anywhere you want and visualize. And the marker cluster is, when you zoom out, it's going to cluster as one point. So this is how you can customize. And interactive region reduction also means that you can here you have a rectangle or a circle. So for example, if you are interested in calculate the statistic for a certain region, because when you click the point, it's only 1 pixel. Sometimes you might want to calculate, for example, I want to calculate the mean NDVI for this entire region. You can draw a rectangle, and it might take some time. And this one is going to be calculated average of all the pixels within this rectangle. Keeping in mind, the point in here, this point was added based on where your mouse is released. So it's not this line. It's not does not come from this point. It's come from the average of all the pixels within the rectangle. Similarly, you can draw a circle. You can draw a circle somewhere. It's also going to calculate the mean of all pixel values within the reducer. This is the mean. You can certainly change this one to maximum or minimum, or all the Earth engine reducer, minimum, maximum, sum, standard deviation. Okay, you can try this one, and then if you execute again, it will calculate the reducer you specify. Okay, so if you just click, it doesn't matter, because the reducer here doesn't mean anything, because if it is 1 pixel, it doesn't matter what reducer you use, it's always going to be the same value, because if you only have one value, the mean, the sum, the maximum, they're all the same. It's just the value itself. Okay, so for point and for rectangle. Okay. Once you have all the data calculated, every time when you click a point or you create a rectangle or circle, all those values displayed on the chart are being saved to a variable. Okay, so we can use that to the same way to export the data again. In this one, we are going to export this one as ndvi.ssp, and we are calling the same function, extract values to points. So we just need to execute. And now we have this one in here. So this will be the second example, ndvi. And just ndvi. Okay, so as you can see from here, we have 15 points, the longitude, latitude. And then because the ndvi, we have a lot more spectral bands. So this will be every 16 days. So roughly every month we have 2 values. And so each year you're going to have 24 multiplied by 5 years. See, we have a lot of values in here. And you might also notice, right? So you have some integer values, you have some floating point values. So earlier when we first click the points, those are just using the point. But when we draw a circle or a rectangle, it calculates the mean of all the pixels. So that's why you have some floating values, right? We draw a rectangle, we draw a circle, and we change to point. And the last one, we also draw a rectangle. That's why you have floating. So it depends on what reducer you use. The value might look different, but this is how you can apply the reducer interactively and also extract the values, right? So, and if you need to do the plotting, you can do it inside the Jupyter Notebook, or if you want, you can extract the values and you can do the plotting outside Jupyter Notebook. So it's up to you what you want to use. Okay, I think that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to my channel. You can also leave comments down below. Hope to see you in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.